Hi, everyone, and welcome to Education Speaks. With me today is Cathey, Adaptive Team Lead at Jardine Middle School in Wichita, Kansas. Cami, thanks for being here today, and thank you for your commitment to education. I know that you are passionate about making sure that your students are successful. Could you tell us a little bit about the way that you and your team are addressing the needs of EBD students in your school?
Sure, thanks for having me today. At Jardine Middle School, we work with our EBD students in several ways. In the classroom, we scaffold instruction so that all students can be successful. Many times, students are able to leave the classroom for breaks. In my classroom, I teach for 15 minutes, and then we take a small 5-minute break in between, and then we go back to our lesson. In other classrooms, I know that they do similar activities and they have a similar break as well. We also have a place right outside our classroom door where students are able to take a break when they're frustrated or when they feel like they need to leave for some reason. They're allowed to go right outside the classroom door where we can still see them, but yet they're able to separate themselves from the rest of the class and have just a little break, a breather. Excuse me. They're also allowed to get a pass and go take a drink or just go walk up and down the hallway for just a few minutes for another type of break if they need to.
That's great. Could you please tell us about the corrective reading and if you think it's a tool that could be used to help your students?
Yes, corrective reading is a scripted program for literacy, and while many times, including myself, teachers are not fond of scripted programs, corrective reading is a scripted program that actually benefits students a great deal. It's a literacy program that helps students with comprehension and fluency, and it's been proven through research to really work with the EBD and other students with disabilities. Corrective reading can be a high energy lesson if taught correctly, where students can enjoy the lesson and find it fun as long as the teacher puts the right type of energy into it. So while it's a scripted lesson, if the teacher shows enjoyment and the teacher puts energy into it, the students are going to have fun while learning, and they're going to find the energy, and then they're going to be able to not only learn but enjoy while they're learning, which is what many students in an inclusive environment need. And many students with EBD need to find enjoyment in their lessons.
Great. Now, have you observed the way that behavior problems affect male and female students? And if so, how did this correlate to their ability or willingness to learn or participate in the learning environment?
I have, and I've also recently read a study that supports many of my thoughts, and I'm very excited to do some more research on this. Excuse me. I have found that in my own classroom, male students tend to be more energetic and have more difficulties in lessons that are just sit and get than female students. And I find that if I'm able to find a way to give them the opportunities to be up and moving around while learning, they do a better job. And that students with EBD tend to be irritated when I'm not even able to know why or to see what happened that irritated them. In the study that I just recently read, it's something in their brains And female students tend not to externalize when anxieties or frustrations hit, while male students do. Male students externalize their anxiety and frustrations. Female students internalize their anxiety and frustrations. And so after reading this study, my mind automatically went to certain students in my classroom, and my own light bulb went off as a teacher. Oh, that's what happened when this student had a meltdown, had a breakdown in my classroom. And that explains why these certain things occurred in my classroom. And so now I'm able to go back and maybe adjust some of the activities that I'm doing, and maybe adjust some of the ways I handle situations. Maybe I'm able to go back and say, okay, student A, let's do this real quick. Instead of being like, whoa, what just happened here? I know that it's a situation in his brain, and I can handle the situation differently. And when I see a female student sitting still, but I can tell that something's going on, I know that it's anxiety, or I know that it's a situation of frustration, instead of, oh, well, what happened here? I'm able to say, oh, student B, why don't you go get a drink and just breathe for a minute? And when student A, male student, explodes, it's, oh, something in their brain. And I can say, oh, it's time for you to go and take a walk and calm down, rather than what in the world's going on? After reading this study, I know what's going on with these students in different scenarios, and the differences that's going on amongst them, i.e. male, female, and i.e. explosion, or just sitting there and not doing anything, staring off into space. It's not just staring off into space. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's frustration. And now I can say, okay, I understand what's going on after reading this study.
So do you think that perhaps it's the difference between male and female brains that leads to more office referrals for the male students?
Most definitely. I do believe that, I don't believe that it's a gender gap. I believe that it's the way the brain functions. I believe that it's the development of the brain. And I believe that the gap isn't a gender gap. I believe that more so the development and the way our brains work is the difference. It's not that males are overrepresented in the research. It's that females are underrepresented in the research due to their internalization of their feelings and behaviors, and males externalize their behaviors. So males are just seen more in their behaviors. Therefore, they're sent to the office and they're written up, and their behaviors are seen more and are their behaviors are overt, where female students' behaviors are introverted and not seen as much.
Okay. Well, that's seems to go along with the studies that were shown in this paper by Mr. Garwood. Do you feel that Garwood's thesis is valid?
I most definitely agree with Garwood in that his thesis is that the gaps in the research prove that males are not overrepresented, females are underrepresented, because research is proving that it's a brain difference, not the overrepresentation of males, it's an underrepresentation of females due to the difference in the way the brain functions and the fact that males are extroverts in their behaviors and females are introverts in their behaviors. I also agree that the literacy, the difference in the way males learn literacy and the way females learn literacy is different, and therefore we need to take different approaches in the way we teach them.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today on Education Speaks. I'm Mike. Thanks to Cathey for joining us today and for answering some questions.
Thanks for having me today.
All right.